So one of these sides in several hours' time will have ended their campaign for the year 2000. Who is it going to be? McDonald tried to charge his way through. He was unsuccessful. Power quickly at the bottom of the pack has infringed. Free kick's going to go the way of the Dogs, to be taken by Brown. Nathan Brown goes up towards half forward. Darryl White gets a big fist to it, slaps it clear. Tried to storm his way through was Eagleton. Bartlett there as well. The Lions under the pump early. The Dogs are very keen for a lightning start. Black gets an early touch to Scott. It's going to come back. It's coming back. Scott was away, but it is a Bulldogs free kick. Umpire Brian Sheehan. Michael Voss and Jose Romero gesticulating with one another. Sheehan assumes control.
A couple of early matchups in the middle. Ashcroft is trying to jump onto West. Chris Scott has picked up Rowan Smith across the half-back line for the Lions.
Hunter. Kingsley Hunter. 45-degree angle. 43 metres out. Pretty good-looking kick. May have just gone in for a goal. I think it has, and that's a great start to the Dogs. Hunter gets the opening goal. He was one of the 4 changes made by the Dogs this week.
It's amazing, isn't it? There's a very little noise. You sort of half expect some noise to come out of that. But here's Lepich touching each other. This is the free kick against him. What he's saying is that Voss dragged him down after handballing away and got him high. So it's a pretty good get by the umpire, who was on the inside of that play. So I'm not quite sure how he saw it.
Well, Kingsley Hunter back on the side, drawing first blood, and for the 3rd week in a row, the opposition has scored the first goal here at the Gabba.
And Jason Marnie, we know, has come into the side. He's now got the job on Ackerman as a specialist role for him. Here's
Luke Powell getting in and under, trying to force it forward for the Lions. Liberatore in there as well. Jonathan Brown over the top, and it'll be a ball up. Umpire Harvey, as we see Adam Contessa there. Bulldogs getting the first goal. And we'll expect lots of players to be running with each other as Hart tries to get onto Johnson. He in turn trying to go with Voss.
Bo McDonald is just cruising around that half-back line for the Lions, trying to block up some space there.
Here's Wind. Doing the ruck work with him was Brown. Romero punching it back defensively towards Brown. Nathan Brown round the body with the kick up towards centre wing. Darryl White and Bartlett, former teammates, with the kick has drifted over. And it'll be a free kick to Wind. He quickly plays on. He's got Des Headland. Showed plenty of pace last week. Really showed something we hadn't seen before from him. Short pass, Lawrence. Found some space. Squares it up to Jonathan Brown. Headland runs for him again. Wind takes the mark. Brown slows it up.
Well, they're flooding, if anyone wants to know it. There's 438 players in the forward line for Brisbane at the moment.
Well, Chris Scott has gone lateral. Croft, good punch. Down in front, Rowan Smith misses it. Coming through Power, spinning out of trouble. Clever work by Luke Power. Kicks it over the middle to Stephen Lawrence. Lawrence now. Again, they go a little bit lateral. He wants Voss. Voss has got to go back into trouble. Such is the class of Michael Voss, it presents no problem.
No other player on the ground could have done what he did then. He absolutely ran forward hard and just pivoted when the kick came in. I mean, it was almost as though he had a sixth sense. And that's what they're going to have to do, is move the ball across the centre of the ground and then switch it to where they've got more numbers. Have a look at that. Fantastic play.
Well, he's played 21 games this season. He's kicked 12 goals, 15. So he hasn't been as accurate as he'd like, but of late he's been in good nick. And not this time, not to be, but the first score for the Lions.
Sean Hart trying to get onto Brad Johnson, but Brad Johnson will win this battle. He'll end up on Michael Voss. So Lee Matthews would be thinking right at the moment, what's he going to do with Sean Hart?
Here's Romero with Brown. The Dogs have it on halfback. Jose again for another possession. Wider to the outer wing. Darryl White and Lappin. Lappin's at the back playing 150. Gives it back again. Just keeps it in play down towards the half-forward line. Here's a chance for Lawrence. Penetrating hand pass is good. The D9 goes for goal. Malloy, great looking kick by the D9, and he's got there first.
Well, he's got the strength of a D9, but he's got the smelling power of a K9, because he has just sniffed a goal from nowhere. There has the D9. A magnificent performance. Off the boot, I think everybody suspected it may well have been one of the great goals of the day, and there were plenty in Melbourne today, but that was an absolute beauty. Great goal to Jared Malloy and a good start to this match.
Well, Jared Malloy came off the bench and kicked 5 goals in 2 and a bit quarters last week, and he started in the same vein as we're back in the middle. Voss punching it forward with that left hand. Contessa in the way, quick kick. Atamanis missed it. Here comes Voss, look out, Brown. He kept going. Liver's in there, down low, and he's going to get the free kick. Over the top was Headland. So celebrating his 250th liver, over to Brown. They swing it wide to Marnie now. Marnie looks ahead. Not too much to kick to. And here comes Desi, but he kicks it up high. Going back Lepage and doing a good job there was Hunter, but he probably should have taken the mark. White crumbing it down in front. Here goes Darrell, he decides to run. He's got Brown short in the middle, but he might go all the way, Darrell White. Now, going short, Power swings onto his left. They're one out, they've beaten the flood. Here's Lynch. Great work.
Well, you said they'd beaten the flood. And the way to do that, yeah, well, he just ran through all the players. He was going past those players that were trying to get into defence. What a great performance. And a lot of times, Malcolm, you see Darrell go on these runs and he gives the ball away. That time he used it beautifully, and a smart kick by Luke Power, who's having an outstanding year.
Well, here is the co-captain, Lynch. A wonderful season for him. From 40 metres out, he kicks their second and his first.
Well, there's some barometers in this footy club, and one of them is Darrell White. Defensively, he's done well so far, and then to actually run the footy like that, not to panic with it. There was a lot of space for him, and that short kick, when he kicks short, he always just finishes off pretty well. And then Luke Power, that wonderful place kick. Lynch didn't have to change stride, and then, as Alistair Lynch can do, been a good cooking boot, terrific goal.
Alistair Lynch now 62 goals for the season. There's a fair goal-kicking race going on within the Brisbane Lions club. McDonald wins it down towards the centre. There's been a free kick. It will go back to the big man.
It's been impressive at the start, Sandy. He's jumped beautifully.
Youth versus experience, isn't it, in there, up against Scotty Wine. McDonald and up and under. Voss might wait down. He does at the front. Can't get a clean run at it, but by gee, he's made a tremendous start. Black and Malloy both over the top. Ashcroft and Liberatore jostling with one another at the bottom.
It's interesting, Sandy. They're playing Lynch, Malloy, and I just lost Bradshaw. All up there with that flooding. I mean, they're going to go at it in the air.
Perfect conditions, as we said, here tonight. McDonald again, thumps it down beautifully. They're winning it well. Here he goes again. Malloy from 49 metres, doesn't go for the doctor, wants Lynch at the back and finds him.
Well, with the flood, if there is a hole to be found, it is deep. It's in the goal square or in front of the point post, and that's the first time we've seen that exposed. Smart kick by Jared Malloy.
In fact, Jonathan Brown too is another tool.
Lynch has 62 goals, Bradshaw 56, Luke Power 47. So they've got some targets up forward, and that's what lies ahead for Alistair Lynch as he kicks for his second. And he kicks it beautifully. This is a fine start.
I've got a problem with one of the teams if you're doing this flooding, and I know we're sort of going on about it, but why not? Everyone else is. One of the problems is if you can't score, I mean, if the team gets scores against you, how do you score? I mean, it's a very difficult situation. I mean, you can frustrate the opposition. As soon as they start scoring, unless you actually go on the attack, it's not going to work for you. Plus, you probably gather I'm not all that keen on it.
2 straight kicks in it.
But I guess the difference is he's not going the ultra floody. He's keeping some of his tools in the forward line if they can get the fast break.
Here's Voss again in and under, force it forward. Scott Westred at the best, tries to get around and set something up, but he did well in the end to get it to Johnson, but he just kicks it straight onto the chest of Chris Scott. He's going short. Well, he's got some depth with that. He got to the Headland. No, it's Black. Simon Black now.
Yeah, use Lawrence.
Yeah, well, he does.
Because that drags another player out of the zone.
Lawrence almost looks as though he's a designated guy to go to laterally with the flood. That's deep, and that's a good kick, as Jared said. It's found Jonathan Brown just inside the forward 50. Well, we've seen him kick some goals this year from set shots where his action's quite good. This will really test him. He's kicked 5 goals, 2 for the season. And his last month, he's decided to go short, and there's Ashcroft, who just Well, he had Scott West, who was his man, was standing the mark, so he was released. Not that much closer to goal. Malcolm, we know he's a straight kick. He kicks very straight.
Good as any, I reckon, and just probably a metre and a bit on his distance, isn't it? It's going to have to be his very, very best.
Well, he's running on a bit of an arc to try and hook it back to get that distance. It stays out right. It's not going to make it. Lynch coming over the top. He's looking for a crummer. West is there for the Dogs. They're trying to run it out now. This is Curley. Curley put Croft under pressure. Bradshaw comes storming through. Here's the D9. He gave it off to Headland. He's got to kick it quick. It's around the corner. It'll only be one behind. But Malloy having a presence up there, Jared.
He certainly is. I mean, it was a brilliant goal to start with. And, well, he's got the sniff of the football at the moment.
And can't underestimate that. You know, when you get that sniff and get a bit of leather on your hands, and particularly in a final, you never underestimate a player who touches it early.
Someone else who's got it in the middle is Michael Voss. Romero. The Dogs looking to steady. Johnson.
Should have tackled.
Brown didn't tackle. He went for the bump. But, it's all part of the learning curve. Marnie takes the mark on centre wing in front of Lawrence. Back pedals a little towards Brown. Doggy's got the first goal, but since then it's dried up a little. Now they've got a chance through Simon Cox to go deep into the forward line. That's better, and Simon Garlick takes the mark.
I wouldn't be panicking if I was a Western Bulldogs supporter, though. The body language is just too good at the moment for the Western Bulldogs, and whilst Brisbane have kicked a couple of goals, they got a really unique one from the D9, and well, it's now their turn, and if they get this one on the board, they're just a couple of points behind.
Well, Simon Garlick in recent weeks has become somewhat of a hero as far as goal kicking is concerned. Wouldn't this be nice from 48 metres? Pretty good looking kick by Simon Garlick. Just away one behind. Coming into this game with 28 goals for the season. Johnson to bring it back into play.
What looks like a move from the Bulldogs, Sandy, is that they're just dropping Scott Wine down after the rucking duties in the middle to almost a centre-half back position and allowing Chris Grant to run free. And Bo McDonald is just going to have to be careful he doesn't run off him too much and create by himself.
Chris Scott got the kick in from Johnson. Squares it up to Lepich. Finds himself in a little bit of space. And we all know he loves to run. That's going to put him under pressure. Here's the steal. Brad Johnson. Can he make them pay? Finish it off. He hasn't. Well, that is an absolute golden opportunity missed.
And you know what, Matthew, I've said it a number of times with this side. There were two players screaming for it in the middle of the ground, and Justin Lepich never looked there. You know, you don't mind blokes going out wide, but if you don't look when you get that much time, you get a free kick like that, you've got to make someone pay.
Johnson might look for Darryl White in this kick in. Too much height for Brown. Couldn't take it cleanly. McDonald applies the tackle. White pounced on it. He did beautifully. Getting it out to Voss, who's got Lappin on centre wing. The two 150 gamers combined. Lappin is away. Looks up towards left half forward. Wobbly old flat-looking helicopter punt kick. Difficult one for Lynch. Pushed towards the line and taken over. We've got a throw in with Messrs Bradshaw and Cretior.
Just on Chris Grant, Gerald, looks like he's got the role of actually dropping back in the hole. He's paying no respect whatsoever to Jonathan Brown, who's pushing up. We watch him here. Jonathan Brown's actually standing at centre half forward. Chris Grant standing right in the hole back there.
Paul Roosed down on the boundary line with us tonight. Hart picks it up, flicks in towards half forward. Grant's hand pass is okay to Romero. The Dogs trying desperately to get out of trouble. Malloy has other ideas. Beautifully to Voss. Voss chips wide. Lynch on the lead. He's got it on the other side but loses it. Soccers off the ground. Goes back in towards the forward line. The Dogs through Grant get another chance.
And they certainly have here because Rowan Smith's found himself on the wing with some time now. Kicks it short. He's missed the body completely. There's three lines there. One of them is Voss.
Great running, Voss.
He's got all the way back to help out there. Chris Scott squares it up. There's players on their own everywhere. Brown took it too easy. He gets another shot at it. Little chip pass. Headland's got to go, and he does.
And that's the kick you're talking about, Malcolm. Back into the centre. A couple of lines, players sitting there.
Yeah, exactly right. There's always players in the middle of the ground. The other thing with what Paul just said then about Grant, from a pack, you should never ever kick the footy under pressure. All you should do is handball it and try and get someone free, particularly in the forward line. You know, there's no need to panic there. So Grant will never get a kick if they don't rush forward one.
Well, Des Headland, he's kicked a lot of goals in the reserves this year, coming off games of 5 and 6 quite regularly.
It's taking his time to mature for a one taken so high in the draft, but maybe this is the charge, Matto.
Well, for the season, just the 2 goals 3. from 52 metres. Des Headland, the #1 draft pick from 2 seasons ago, hits the woodwork.
I reckon it hit his hand. We'll have another look.
Two straight kicks in it. Just on 10 minutes remaining. Rowan Smith takes the kick in and he's away. Lovely looking kick. Marnie's the flyer from behind. Almost completed the mark. Liberatore, as you can hear from the crowd. Johnson gets crunched and he got a bad bounce. I thought the buck looked pretty fair, but the advantage is being paid. And Nathan Eagleton, a long bomb from Eagleton down into the forward line. Johnson will see it over the line and we've got a throw in. Now that boy's still down behind play. How did you see that bump, Malcolm?
From this angle, it certainly looked fair, but Brad Johnson's okay. He's got his head up, so must have been something on the other side, which the umpire was on that side, so you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Here is here. He certainly kept the elbow in, but he's got him just a touch high, no doubt about it.
Just ricocheted off his shoulder, though, I think. So, well, it was up a bit there, but...
Nathan Brown in trouble.
2 weeks.
Jonathan Brown was also in trouble. G. Curley went down too. Eagleton Sockers off the ground. Hart and Lawrence both there. Garlick just about beat the two of them. Hart will go again and he's quite happy to see it over.
This is a bit of a game, isn't it? I mean, this is on here. You're quite right, Jared. The Bulldogs aren't in bad nick.
No, they're going all right.
Brad Johnson going off at the moment. They'll just assess how he is.
Well, this is very much just a settling down period. We know that the Lions are 12 points up. They've had some good play, but
no, there's nothing in this game.
Oh, I'd rather be 2 in front, to be honest.
True, but
particularly at the end. One of the concerns for the Lions is that Ackermanis has yet to touch the footy.
Yet that man on screen has had it 8 times already. He's had 4 weeks in a row where he's managed over 30 possessions.
Marnie's dragging Ackermanis down into the back pocket.
Voss tucked up was Black. That is a very clever kick. He's found Brown in some space. Brown will go to Lynch. Lynch a long way from goal. He's got Bradshaw as his target.
Settle.
Now, long. Bradshaw on the lead. That is a good kick, but it's over the top.
Good result. Yep.
And it'll be a boundary throw in forward pocket. Bradshaw and Lynch.
Jonathan Brown might get 38 possessions as a centre-half forward with not one player on him tonight, the way he's going.
Well, he's well, if you're 18 years old, wouldn't you love to be playing with no one comes near you?
Jared, you and I'd still get a kick out there, no one on you.
Oh, hamstrings.
Lynch, yes.
And also the grey beard tripping over, yeah.
Lynch to contest from behind. Wine was in front. Ackermanis can't get into it. Croft is in all sorts of trouble. Gang tackle. Lappin comes over the top, trying to take out Contessa. Now he tries it on Lappin. Eventually pushed back towards the defensive 50. Look at Headland go. By G shows dash and vision towards Brown. This could be a clash. The youngster goes to ground. Malloy heads towards goal. He's on the left foot. It's an ugly punt and it's a behind. Courage from Brown. He had to go.
Yeah, he's a good lad, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, big raps on him down in the Western District, South Warrnambool.
Did not deviate, did he?
No, he didn't, and he would have every justification in giving his teammate a spray because it was a hospital kick and it should have been on the chest for a shot at goal.
Still would like to see him turn his body, Jared. He's going to get in a lot of trouble if he keeps going like that, isn't he?
Cox is looking for Grant. There's a height advantage over Ackermanis. Now he gets into the game with a quick give to Headland. He's caught high. Play on the call. Ackermanis saw Malloy. There he is, the D9. He's looking around. Headland runs on for him, but he's settling back.
Well, we saw Geelong last night have a similar amount of opportunities early in the match, and it ended up costing them. Brisbane Lion the same. They've had 2 or 3 shots at goal that they could have converted. This one has got to go through.
He's kicked 1 goal 1. It's a tough pocket to kick him from, and he has missed again, this time to the near side. So now 1 goal 2 to Jared Malloy. The Lions 22, the Bulldogs 8.
Darcy onto the ground. They really are going to try and stretch them up in that forward line, the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Brad Johnson looks as though he's recovering. A bit worse to wear. Well, I reckon I've seen 1 goal kicked from that pocket where Malloy's kicked a whole year. It's a very difficult kick.
To Croft, towards half forward. It passes wide. The door may open for Scotty West. Off to Liberatore. Low to the ground goes Libber. The choir starts up in the crowd, but he gets his kick away effectively and finds Brown. Just inside 50. 45-degree angle for Nathan Brown. And Brian Sheehan again, just settling him down.
He may have just been telling him, Sandy, not to let the arm go back. Could have Could have collected Sean Hart, and it looks as if Sean Hart has pushed over onto Nathan Brown, and Lee Matthews has given up trying to match him up on Johnson.
He goes short. He's been very good this year, hasn't missed a game. Finds Rowan Smith. Distance certainly won't be a problem for Smith. He's a beautiful kicker of the ball. And he is a goal kicker. 41 goals for the season. This for the Dogs second. This to make the margin 8 points from 51 metres. That is a great kick from Rowan Smith.
Well, he's growing in that role. He's become more accustomed to kicking goals from a set position. I think it's fair to say that this time last year he was rather shaky. In fact, he was looking for the long-handled putter. He was that nervous over important shots. But he's got it a lot better, and he's converted. I think his tally reflects a pretty fair season.
Rowan Smith, the leading goal kicker for the Bulldogs, gets their second. They're first in 4 because Brisbane had kicked the last 3. It's tough in there. Black got it beautifully to Lappin somehow. Brown, Cox with him now, falls to Voss. So good down low. Found Ackermanis on the left. Ackermanis from 40 metres. He gets under it a bit, but it's good enough. For a point.
Geez, that was one of the best handballs we've seen this year.
Also say that Lee Matthews has played man on man. They've got an extra one back at the start, the Bulldogs, but they're playing 7 in their forward line and only 5 up the other end. And I reckon that's right. Just keep throwing them down.
6.5 minutes left in the quarter. Voss continues to be inspirational from the centre. Well, that was Hart flying over the top there. At the back is Scotty West. Luke Power ties him up. Power will go again. Look at him on Contessa. He is going nowhere.
Sandy, just on Johnson, he seems to be in a bit of pain down the right side of his neck and down his right arm. The doctor's a bit concerned, but he's insisting he's okay.
Thank you, Victoria.
Tell you what, at the kick-ins, the lines, it's so important to stop that first one because the Bulldogs had 2 players behind the last line, and in particular, if Nathan Brown gets hold of it, he can put down a goal.
Wins it, but look at Voss go again. This time loses it, but takes it towards the line. Just going to be kept in by Lappin. Comes inboard now to Lawrence. He's going to have to get his skates on. He looks towards Headland at half forward. Desi got a hand to it, but that was all. Ackermanis came over the top. Marnie was at the bottom of the pack. Power is there too. Ackermanis goes again. Lynch comes from the side, but he won't get there in time. Malloy sees it drift over the line with Grant for another behind. Gee, some chances here. 3 goals, 6. 2 goals, 2. 9 effective scoring shots to 4, and good to see Brad Johnson, who came back into the lineup this week, running the boundary line.
Yeah, looks to be moving okay. It's a 10-point margin now. The Lions have had it a fair few times inside their forward 50.
13-7 actually.
Here again, Grant the target. And again he matched up with a small player in Power, and they did well, Brisbane, because that would have suited the Bulldogs nicely there. There's key marking player in Grant.
Well, Libba's running now with Simon Black, and Jose's running with Lappin.
Here it's going to fall to Power, straight down in front. He just chinks a bit, doesn't know where to go. That's a 1-metre kick, but it's play on. Black, that's too high for Headland. Coming over the top with the easy punch was Curley. Cox quickly onto the boot, gets a spiral punt up towards White and Darcy. Johnson quickly over to White. Headland, well, he's causing some problems because he's moving around a bit. Now he's got a chance to run. He's going to bang it back in towards Lynch. And here's Big Bo. Play on. Down to West, crowd calling for a mark. West goes out to the wing where Rowan Smith marks. Chris Johnson coming in late.
Pretty stiff, Big Bo. I thought he had total control of that. It was wrenched from his arms after he had definitely controlled it.
Cox kicks towards left half forward. Eagleton is marking there. I get the feeling that Desi Headland must have been on some sort of a leash up until a fortnight ago. And he's been released. Showing great dash and run. Chris Scott not successful in that attempt, and it looks as though Bartlett will have a shot.
Pretty good mark, this one in the end. Worked Chris Scott underneath the ball and then just used his height and his extra reach to claw the ball in. Kicked some pretty important goals for the Dogs this year, Trent Bartlett.
And playing against his old side, this may taste a little sweeter. He shoots for their third. He goes across the face of goal, and Hart will take the free kick.
Johnson is back out on the ground now, Sandy.
That's good news, Victoria, for the Dogs. Jonathan Brown is at the back. Far too much height for Libba, but he couldn't take the mark. Black gets it out back towards the youngster again in Brown. His kick is very, very wide, and McDonald just got a hand to it before it went over the line.
I think his target was actually Luke Power, who was deeper over the top of McDonald. He just pulled the kick and forced it right on the boundary line now. Colin Hudson, Garlick having a spell, also Darcy. Wine got in front well. Brown trying to pick it up, couldn't. Coming through his little liver, off to Jose Romero. He's got plenty of time. He takes a couple of bounces. He's trying to draw Voss to loop it over to Robbins. Decides the kicking option instead. Johnson was his target, and the left-handed Chris Scott punching over the boundary line. Just
settled down nicely this game now, hasn't it? It's a real contest.
3 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Lions by 10 points. Brad Johnson still just the hand on the chest there. Still a bit sore. Comes out now. The numbers for the Bulldogs there. Hart went through hard. Marnie through the gap. Over towards Robbins. He saw Smith. Smith is going to go short. Just almost finds him. Marnie again. Here's a chance now for Egerton. If he gets on his left, he's in business. But the business is kicking points. And an opportunity missed. So Johnson and Eagleton have missed fairly easy goals at that end.
Catching, isn't it? 3-6 to 2-3.
And Malcolm, you mentioned before about Jonathan Brown. The Brisbane half-forwards will pick up 400 kicks tonight because their opponents just will not pick them up. There's Headland and Jonathan Brown in that last passage of play were standing all by themselves in the wing and in the centre respectively.
Johnson's kick out. McDonald a late flyer. Wine too strong in front. Well, he plays on towards Romero, who's sat and wait. Then he goes back to Liberatore, gives it off towards Brown. He wants towards West. West off towards Croft. They're not out of it yet. And now this is Simon Cox. Cox goes for the doctor, and he's got it.
That was like a rugby passage. Just moving the ball backwards and sideways, and finally they just got one extra on the overlap. And he was good enough, Simon Cox, to run from half-back and through the goals. And Brad Johnson is back on the bench, as you can plainly see. One.
All set up really by Scotty Wine taking a great mark. And people, you know, often wonder, look at this terrific kick from Sox. But a good big pack mark by a big man does set it up.
3 goals apiece here at the Gabba, and just the right bloke to have on the end of that chain was Cox, because he is such a lovely kick. And it's only the 3 points now, and Wine instrumental there. McDonald got up first to hand to it. Black working hard. Liver forces him off the ball, did well. The big man whined again. Handball, well, that was almost a rugby pass there. Hart with Brown, knocks it back. Romero, Liberatore working well together. Up, Leppard will have to go late here. Chance for Darcy. On the ground now, swap with Johnson. Hunter came through. Falls for Hart. Lions are away now. Little give back to Voss. He looks over to his right. He's got 3 lines to choose from. Ashcroft, run into Chris Scott. Now, on the wing. He's got to find a big target. Jonathan Brown missed it. Ackermanister crumbs. Quickly round the body. A chance for the big jump from Lynch over the back. And Matthew Croft takes a very good mark. Lynch went early, came down before Croft had it.
Early?
Got daylight saving and set in. Croft on the last line of defence. The Dogs have come back well. The Lions haven't been able to take advantage of some of their chances. And they may pay a hefty price for that a little bit later on. Here's Brown again. He's had a good first quarter. But as Paul Roos said, picking up kicks it well. Gives it away to Leppich, who goes in towards the centre. Just wasn't the right angle for Lawrence, and now he's really under pressure. Right in the middle of the ground. There will be another bounce.
Sandy, Johnson in quite a bit of pain at the moment, being worked on. He's having trouble lifting his right arm.
Yes, Johnson copping a nasty one. Trying to come out again. Unsuccessful. So obviously there's a problem there for him. Maybe at neck or shoulder. Voss, what a quarter. He's got Lappin screaming for it. He elects to go long and direct towards Bradshaw. Under close attention, Malloy's just got boot to ball. It'll find the boundary line. That was all but deliberate, but it was virtually on the line anyway.
Geez, Daniel Bradshaw must have been very close to getting a free kick for the neck.
Just half a minute remaining in the quarter. An even start to this knockout final. Bradshaw, well, he copped a nudge then, but he certainly did accentuate it. Black gets a bad bounce. Hasn't got into the game as quickly this week as he did last. And Brown clears for the Dogs. Just wobbles it up towards centre wing. Johnson's a long way from home. Eagleton's right on his hammer. Eagleton does well. Voss now joins in the chase. Michael Voss, Nathan Eagleton. Eagleton's gained probably 55 metres. Clever little hand pass. That was well done towards Matthew Robbins. He's inside 50 now. Robbins squaring it up, centering towards half forward. No mark taken. The pressure on Lawrence again as he comes away. But the siren will beat them. It is quarter time. And a good even quarter. I've been watching Contessa and Power, and my hat, they can chat. They're opposed to one another. There's just 3 points, though, in this game at the first break. Perfect conditions, a knockout final, a close contest. What more can you ask? The Lions are 3-6, the Bulldogs are 3-3. 3 points the margin going into the second quarter. When they last met, and it was here, the Lions gave them a decent old thrashing. But this is a different game. Liberatore gets it out towards Marty. Josh's kick goes up towards the half-forward line. Luke Darcy's in the vicinity, but we haven't seen a lot of him yet. Lawrence takes the hand pass and clears towards Black and Liberatore, and Ackermanis as well on the outer side. Acker straight over the top of Liberatore. There is Darcy. The hand pass going to Marty. He gets caught and loses it to Johnson. Johnson spearing it in towards Lepich. This is what he likes, a run through half back up towards half forward. Lynch is there. What's his recovery like? Pretty good as he slams into Curley. Croft under pressure goes backwards with the hand pass to Contessa, off to Grant. Steadies wide towards centre wing. At the back was Ackermanis. He couldn't complete the grab, and it is over the line.
Simon Black's been in great form. Libba's doing quite a number on him. You know, he hasn't been effective yet. He's been smothered. His endurance, we know, is fantastic. It'll be a bit of a test in the second half, probably for Libba, as much as it will for Black.
And Romero's also closing down Nigel Lappin. So much has been left to Michael Voss, who had 13 posies in the first quarter.
There was Black forcing it forward. Scott West hooks it back. Grant, little give. Away now goes Contessa. Short pass to Smith is good enough. Smith right in the centre of the ground. They've got an open forward line here, the Dogs. And leading into the hole is Kingsley Hunter. He's got a long way out. Chris Scott trouble his hamstring on the mark.
You're right, Matt. I think he's in some trouble.
Yeah, well, he's had problems before, but he's seemed to have got over it. He's virtually out. He's gone, I think.
He's gone.
But anyway, Kingsley Hunter he's not concerned with that at all. He kicked one in the first quarter. Chris Scott not happy. Hunter unloads 60 metres to the goal square, wide over the back. Happy to see it through. And Chris Scott straight off. He did the hamstring. And that is bad news for Chris, who, should they win, he missed out playing there down in Melbourne, the preliminary final last year. And should they move through the finals, he may be in trouble. Remains to be seen.
A lot of footy left yet as Lepich takes the kick in.
Suggest his finals campaign is all but over. You wouldn't take him into a grand final if they got that far.
That's right, 3 weeks.
It'd be too big a risk.
Darryl White in front of the Social Club, just chips it over the top, just the required distance to Lappin. Further afield now towards Lawrence. He chips in towards centre wing. It's going to be okay if Ackermanis can soccer off the ground, and he does at the back. Cox on the half-back line was bumped and he wasn't tackled. Croft almost lost it, and he has. The advantage will not be paid, although Marcus Ashcroft was set to scoot towards goal.
I just, that bump, I mean, I reckon it should be almost taken out the game, you know, because when you see players do that and the blokes just spin off them, some clubs actually practice it. I mean, I just can't see any point in actually bumping anymore. I mean, football's gone past that.
Luke Power. By gee, you want to take a few things out of the game, Malcolm. Power inside 50, shoots for goal for the Lions and gets it. He gets his first. And his 48th for the season.
And he may well be taking over from Paul Hudson as one of the most reliable shots at goal in the business, as we have a look at what is a very sad moment for Chris Johnson. And I just wonder what Chris Scott, I should say, thank you, Sam, and just wonder how much prior opportunity he did have there, Matty Croft. But here he is, number 48.
Goal number 48 for Luke Power, and only 16 behind, so he really is deadly inside that forward 50. Chris Scott getting some words there from physio Peter Stanton. And Noble now on the ground for McDonald. So Matthews has made the change in the ruck as the Dogs force it forward again. Eagleton had hold of Johnson's jumper, not spotted. Eagleton gets it forward. Lappin will cut into the hole. Bad bounce for him. Hunter does well, forcing it forward. West on hands and knees, trying to keep it alive inside their forward 50, the Dogs here. And doing so is Darcy. And he's going to get a free kick, is he? Too high. And he's certainly very vocal about it.
Look, I'm not sure how you saw it, but Chris Scott was playing for the free kick there. He's almost waiting for the umpire to blow the whistle. Chris Johnson, I'll get in the right order. And the ball just bounced past him.
Yeah, you're quite right. I mean, playing for a free kick is fraught with danger if you don't get it, because you throw your body offline and got no recovery.
Well, he's missed 6 weeks of footy, Luke Darcy. This will be his first kick for the night. I don't think the distance would normally present a problem to him. He'll kick from right on that 50-metre line, keeps it low, it just drifts off to his left. And just to behind, still a few words to say. So it's the Lions 30, the Bulldogs 23.
Eddie, as you'd expect, Chris Scott absolutely shattered. He's just gone into the rooms.
Oh.
He knew straight away, didn't he, having a look at that, as we go back to the kick out of Johnson. A good one to the outer side. Scotty West claimed. Liberatory there as well. Ashcroft over to the running Lappin. Now Lappin's away. He's got Desi Headland in the middle if he wants him. Headland's still going with him, but he elects to go further forward. Bradshaw's edged out of it. No free kick. Crediop towards the line, and he finds it.
And that was a kick that I think that Lee Matthews will be wondering why it didn't go short, because he got it in quickly, but it was 1 against 3. And unless it's a ball that hits somebody on the chest, it's really going to be just a Tats Lotto win if you end up with a goal.
And Hudson coming on, boys, for Luke Darcy.
Thank you, Aruzi. Cox has got to stand his ground. Hart can kick a goal, but doesn't. It drops well short onto the chest of Scotty West. He's got players breaking on half-back. Romero is one of them.
It's the first time we've seen a ball roved by a Brisbane Lions player at pace, and it just looks as if they need to push Luke Power and maybe a Sean Hart closer to goal.
Well, Luke Power, great tackle on Todd Curley there, forced the error, comes to Bolton. That's a good quick kick, got it forward inside the 50, going back and filling up the hole was contested. Now they break to the other side. Well, he thought about it and then just switched it back to West.
That quick kick's no good.
Yep.
If you're going to flood, that's no good at all. You've really got to hang on to the ball and just bide your time with it.
Now the mark back to contestants, so they share it around. And just chipping over the top source. Cox just standing on his own. Off to the run of Hudson on the ground. Short looking for Garlick. Back there is Voss. Meets it well. Managed to get the give. Noble doesn't take it cleanly though, and then bashes it forward. It falls now for Lawrence. Getting plenty of the ball towards Ackermanis. Needs to get into the game. He taps it onto Headland. He in turn over to Bolton. Again, it's the same kick. This time, fortuitously, Lynch standing in front, and he takes the chest mark 40 metres out.
Nice to see Bolton back in senior ranks, isn't it?
Well, he missed 5 weeks with a stress fracture, and with the injury to Chris Scott, now finds himself up forward.
Malcolm, West is doing a pretty fair job on Scotty West, and Lib is doing a pretty reasonable job on Simon Black. Would you consider, if you were Lee Matthews, putting Black onto West?
Yeah, I thought about that before, actually, believe it or not because you've said it, but I thought, well, the scoreboard's still okay.
Yeah.
Well, it appears to be okay for Alistair Lynch because he's got 3 goals. 3 to Lynch, and the Lions just stretched that lead just a little bit out to 13 points.
Yeah, just following that up. You know, if the scoreboard's still with you a bit, you know, we don't need to do anything dramatic yet. But I agree with you, somewhere down the track, particularly if West starts getting a bit off Puddle, he's got some good tight ball.
Yeah, he's still getting it. Well, he's had 13 possessions. He's getting his share.
Oh, yeah.
It's a handy little mini break, isn't it? 13 points. Still a long, long way to go. Voss out of the middle. Tries to poke it over the top, and Lappin almost skimming it off the top, not successful. Wide, bounces down towards Eagleton. Gives a little ground before setting it up towards Garlick. He chips onto the lead, and it's good. That was well done. And Kingsley Hunter gets the chance to kick his second. A cry for 50 metres there for several of the Bulldogs players.
Well, I don't mention umpires very often, but
You're going to tonight.
he's having a reasonable night, John Harvey. I've just 3 or 4 things he's done. I don't take much notice, to be honest. But I mean, that's footy. Just get on with it. I think that's sensible.
And Hunter is doing exactly that. Kicking from 49 metres, a floating punt kick that is away to the right.
They're bit misses, aren't they?
Well, Terry Wallace would be disappointed. He's taken a bit of a punt, pushing him forward, and he could well have kicked 3 goals now, and it would have paid off for him.
See, that's a bit of both, isn't it? I mean, it's not one player, it's one doing the other. So I reckon that's good umpiring.
Johnson, a lovely kick out towards the half-back line. Look at the hands of White. Very, very good. Off to Lepic. He pokes it down. He wants it to sit for Lappin and co. But it bounces a little beforehand. Black does well. Gets it off to Lappin, who was still running. Michael Voss, the look-away hand pass. Talk about look away. He didn't look away, and he copped that one. And Rowan Smith sees the turnover. Off to Eagleton. The Dogs are alight. Scotty West, the Lion player, is still poleaxed. Behind play. West chips to the half-forward line. Lepic goes with a big fist. Eagleton tries to get through. Can't do so. Hunter may get another chance, but there's been a whistle.
It's going to go back to Lepic, who perhaps got a mark. Now, Eagleton's pushed into the ground,
50.
and there'll be 50 metres.
Well, it's a bit of a get-out-of-jail job there for the Brisbane Lions. Not often Lepic goes to the punch when he's got an opportunity to mark the ball, but he did. But he followed up with a fantastic tackle to win it back.
Marcus Ashcroft in the hands of the trainers, going off the ground after that bump. So 1-1 in the bump situation.
Doesn't look good, Matty. He's got a problem with his arm.
He may well have done a collarbone.
Lepic squares it to Malloy. And he in turn pops it up to Brown. A little bit risky there. Now to Lawrence.
Classic bump for a collarbone or an AC joint. He'd be lucky to come back.
That's wide to Power. So outside of that zone. Whoops. Luke's ran himself into trouble. Handballs it over the top. Contessa barging through. Malloy. Marnie takes it over the line. So Brisbane Lions with Chris Scott down in the rooms with a hamstring, and now Marcus Ashcroft. As we see that bump again, Wine just see him coming. The handball from Voss really did put Ashcroft under pressure. Back with Wine now. Romero searching for the boundary, finding it. And it'll be another boundary throw-in. 12.5 minutes remaining. The Lions 36, the Bulldogs 24. AC joint. They're looking at, that's the club doctor, they're looking at his AC joint.
Halfway mark of this second quarter. No side able to break clear as yet. Black controlled it nicely to Bolton. It's a high ball in towards full forward. That is almost a mark, but it's not paid, so Voss will play on. And he's found the goals with a magnificent left foot snap. Only Michael Voss can do that.
I think you're right, Sandy. That was just pure genius. He was gone, Bloody. He went right, and he was in huge trouble. And somehow he found some space on the left.
Nearly a grab there by Bradshaw too, wasn't it? Pretty good get out from. Just lay it on your boot and see what happens.
Little gift from Lynch to Voss was all right, wasn't it?
To borrow a line from you, Sandals, my hat.
Well, Marcus Ashcroft in trouble there, but certainly Michael Voss leading from the front here at the Gabba, inspiring his hometown crowd. 18 possessions with that brilliant goal. Back in the middle, Wine. That is a clever tap, just not finding Garlick on the run through, but Liberatore pushes it forward. Johnson reads it well, takes the chest mark. With him, Brown. He's got Trent Noble over in the middle, but he decides to go to Headland on the run. That's not a good kick, but Headland had some space. Now this kick is the important one. Oh, Power's being worn beautifully by Contessa. Spins back inside. Then he knocks it back. They've got the numbers here. One of them is Simon Garlick. He looks up and he sees Todd Curley on the wing.
Might be time to put Chris Grant forward too.
Libba now gets it. Customary boost from the crowd. That won't bother him one instant. Up towards Grant. Here he is. Lepic with him. Gives it off to Brown. Lepic, what a tackle! Play on, no, holding the ball. Ooh. 2 tackles in this quarter from Lepic have been outstanding as Chris Grant and Chris Johnson get to know each other. Imagine if all the players were wide up with microphones. It would be sensational. And here's this tackle, Jared.
Bloke on the dump button would have RSI the finger.
Headland at half back. He's got Robbins in the middle. That was inspirational stuff from Lepic. Going twice. Robbins now in towards half forward. That's a good kick too. Finds his big man down on the 50, Trent Noble. Not a goal kicker. In fact, just has one behind to his name. But he's too far out to score. So he centres it in towards half forward. 1, 2, 3 grabs. Play on, and they find the line on the outer side. Daniel Bradshaw has had a fine season. Hasn't kicked a goal to date, but has 56 for the year. There's Noble with Wine. Wine over 30 years of age, Noble just 20.
And Lee Matthews trying to break the tag on Ackermanis. He's pushing him down onto Eagleton in a back pocket.
Hudson, nice use of the body. Hudson is away, tries to draw the player. He wanted Garlick. He may get him again, and he does. Back towards Hudson once more. Lappin to do the tidying up, but Josh Marnie gets him. Oh, gee, this is a good contest, this one. Lappin on the outer side. There's been a whistle. Romero and Lappin gesticulating with one another. It's the Dogs' ball to be taken by Garlick. He kicks down towards Hudson. White is at the back and takes it to the line.
Darryl White has had a fine season. He's been mostly in defence this year, at times in the ruck. Hasn't spent a lot of time up forward, but he certainly has been a Mr. Fix-It for Lee Matthews. Grant will take the knock with Noble. Inside the Bulldogs forward 50. Pushing it down in front. Dangerous spot there for the Bulldogs if they can get a clean possession. Noble wrapped up by Libba. Quick kick from Bolton, searching for the line. He's not going to find it. Brown, always dangerous when you give him time. He looks up, setting it up, kicks it towards only Lepic and Johnson. Lepic got a hand to it. He needs some support. Got it from Brown. Robbins over towards Malloy. Can't take it cleanly. Eagleton looking dangerous. Switches around on that left. Down low looking for Hunter. White arrives late.
Free kick to the
He didn't take possession. He tackled it. There's still a chance here. Here's Cox. He's a good cook. Kick. He's a good kick. He's on his left. And he's cooked up a goal.
Dinner's ready.
Oh, I don't know what his culinary skills are like, Jared, but he can kick a goal, all right?
Yeah, that was a great shot. Came from a turnaround. It was a fumble from a hot handball from Jared Malloy was on the receiving end. And, well, he was just starting to add some salt here and throwing a little bit of garlic, a couple of extra spices, and he just banged one through.
Sound like Graham Kerr. Simon Cox has his second, and the Dogs bite back. Black can't get it out of the middle. He needs assistance. It comes from Liberatore to wind off to West. A chance to go forward again. This looks promising. Here comes Todd Curley through the centre now. Taking it from Cox. He kicks up towards the half-forward line. Strong mark taken by Chris Grant.
He has gone forward. They've still gone pretty traditional in their setup. They've still got 7 down their forward end and 5 down the other end. So everyone's going man on man at the moment, and there's not too much flooding going on.
Chris Grant playing in his 13th final.
Important kick. He's like everybody, I guess, a confidence player. If you kick the first one, then often the extra is going to flow. And just looking at it, Malcolm, they're still down on the scoreboard here, the Bulldogs, but their run from defence, they just look to have a lot of speed and a lot of extra runners. And with Ashcroft and Scott off the ground, it may tell on the finish.
In his previous 12 finals, he's booted 26 goals. He's kicking for his first tonight from inside 50, and that's a good-looking kick. They're still in it here. Don't worry about that. Grant has his first, and there's only a kick in it.
Well, the truth of the matter is, with that flooding, I mean, they've got 2 back now, virtually going traditional. So I think that it's pretty hard to pick up 3 or 4 goals if you're coming from the back end all the time. I watched Curley, then he's been playing on Headland. He's given Headland a lot of room. that particular time, Curley took off real quickly and ran forward, and eventually pretty good mark from Gray.
Well, Terry Wallace will be very happy there. 2 quick goals in a matter of minutes for the Bulldogs. And the rucks have changed again for the Lions. Wine coming in on that angle as he solving does, just lays it down to Liberatore, up and under, doesn't go far. Good pace shown by Hudson, but here's Voss. Support Lawrence, whoops, a bit fierce. 2 on 1 still, and he does well, Steve Lawrence. He gets around and tells him, I'm going to kick it here. And that's to Nigel Lappin on the burst. Well, he saw Cox coming and should have taken the mark. Here's Contessa, and that's out of bounds. Well, Nigel Lappin should have taken that mark, because that kick from Lawrence is exactly where he wanted him. Matthews on the phone. 6 points the margin. Still over 8 minutes remaining in the first half. It's a tight contest and a very good one here at the Gabba. Romero won't get possession there.
Josh Marnie's making it very, very hard, boys, for Ackermanis to get on Eagleton. There's a bit of a dust-up going on behind play, but he will not let him get onto Eagleton.
Eagleton running with Sean Hart. McDonald kept his balance in front, but Romero quickly to Brown, round the corner. He spotted Garlick, and he almost got him. Play on the call, West. Garlick perhaps caught a bit high. Voss somehow got it to McDonald, and who in turn almost gets it to Lynch. Down in front, Lynch. Second go to Bolton. Ackermanis with him. Here's a chance for Hart. He's a left footer. He needs support. Bolton spots a player. That's not a good kick. It's spilled off the left, and that could be crucial because Cox is away for the Dogs.
Well, kicks wide though. He's going to be let off, Bolton, and there will be a throw in on that outer side.
Funnily enough, at the moment, with the Bulldogs not pushing in many numbers back, Brisbane is still trying to go that chip game. It's not quite working for them. They've wasted some opportunities.
And Brett Voss has just come on the ground for young Jonathan Brown coming off.
Now, he's used Voss off the bench in the last few weeks, and really his cameo performances have been very, very good. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. Hart, penetrating kick in towards the forward line. Plenty of holding on. Lappin tries to get through heavy traffic. He's almost out of power. Here's danger. Here is real danger. Bradshaw shoots for goal, and he's got his first.
Well, they needed that one, the Lions. I reckon they've wasted 2 or 3 opportunities in the last couple of minutes. I'm not sure if it was Bradshaw or Lynch. I think it was Lynch that dropped that mark. That was set up by incredibly good hands by Michael Voss, but that one went astray. But this one, on the end of some good hands as well, has just reasserted them, and they needed reasserting because the Bulldogs were starting to grow in confidence, Sandy. So it may just be a point, is it?
Well, some controversy at the end now. And
that score's cancelled.
Score has been cancelled.
The goal has been cancelled, and that has been a touched. He'll signal a point now, and there will be 1 flag. So
no goal to Bradshaw.
No goal to Bradshaw. In fact, it is a point to Bradshaw.
It's a touch, or to go the wrong side of the post?
The wrong side of the post, I think. I couldn't see how it'd be touched.
No, someone came out. Well, either.
Yep.
Either.
Scotty Wine's having a spell on the bench too, boys. Luke Darcy's gone on for him.
Thanks, Paul. Well, the margin is 7 points. And Curley running into trouble. Could be gone. Power. He is gone. Yep. And well,
you're allowed more than a second.
Yeah, I know.
No, it was incorrect disposal. Once you've had a prior opportunity.
How could he see that? The ball was behind him. How could he see it?
How could he see what?
The umpire. He couldn't see. He gave the decision from behind the player.
But he saw that he had prior opportunity. If he's wrapped up and the ball just dribbles out,
how do you know he didn't handball it?
He's been watching the monitor like us.
Well, I've heard everything now.
Oh, God,
but importantly for Brisbane, it's Luke Power with the ball.
He's hooked it.
And he has hooked it. So perhaps there is some justice if you're Bulldog supporters. Well, and another opportunity missed for Brisbane.
Yes, that's the truth. But I thought it was a pretty tough call anyhow. So you might be right. The footy got squared up.
The Lions may rue this goal kicking.
And a very powerful person.
6 goals, 8. Plays 5 goals, 6. Just under 7 minutes remaining in the half. Darcy had front spot. Just trying to warm to his task. Rowan Smith gets claimed. Black down by Creniuk and Co. And at the bottom, you guessed it, 250 games of having his head rubbed in the mud, and he still comes up for more. Little Libber.
Sandy Marcus has had his shoulder strapped up and he's gone for a bit of a run along the
Here
boundary.
we go.
Looks like he might
Kick
come
from
back.
Bradshaw. On his hands, no. And the umpire has said, oh.
Simon
Now.
Black, ponder that. Headland right on the line. Well, over, said the umpire.
Gee, you'd love to see that again, wouldn't you? What was it? There was no one could have touched it, you're right.
It was on the right side of the post, Malcolm.
Yeah, well, you'd think so. Have a look at it again. Here it is. And no one touched it, and the ball doesn't deviate.
No.
Just keeps on running.
Oh, dear.
Well, that one could be quite controversial, should it happen. That's the second one we've had tonight, but this is Luke Power. Not worrying about that. He goes short to Hart. Pygie, that was only just the required distance too.
And
Hart's directly in front.
He quickly looked at the umpire too. He said, is that 10?
He almost tried to jump a couple of metres, but he's got the nod.
I'd like to know who's overruling that goal.
Well, the only thing it could have done is it may just have clipped the post and didn't appear to have deviated too much, but it's the only other consideration.
Well, the question still remains, who overruled? Exactly. He signalled a goal. Anyway, let's not worry about it now. 49 metres, he goes close to the man on the mark, and he digs underneath that drop punt, and in so doing, takes it to the right and one behind. These are chances you cannot afford.
And good news for the Lions fans, Sandy. Ashcroft's back on the ground.
Thanks, Roosie.
But there is a blood rule, is there, Paul? And Michael Voss coming off the ground, which is critical because the Lions have been attacking for about the last 6 or 7 minutes and really haven't been able to add to their scoreboard supremacy. And so often we see, against the tide of play, a couple of goals go the other end.
And Matthew Robbins coming on for the Western Bulldogs. Nathan Eagle coming off, and Benny Robbins. You're right, Voss with the blood rule coming off.
And we've been told that Brett Allen overruled that. Umpire Brett Allen overruled the goal.
There's Ashcroft, and both sides bringing on Robbins. Ben and Matthew respectively. Cox decides to play on a kick towards the wing. Romero's in trouble here because they're all coming towards him. One was Headland and the other was McDonald, and it's a boundary throw-in. 9 points the margin. Under 5.5 minutes remaining. Michael Voss just getting attended to there with the blood rule, getting cleaned up. He'll be out there quickly. Malcolm, stats?
Michael Voss, yes, 20 touches.
What a wonderful player. Here's West, likewise. Up and over the top, clever. To Garlic, Liberatore, caught by Power. Got his kick somehow, and that's a good, strong mark. Under some pressure, Romero. Careful here, gentlemen. And they get up and move along. Jose Romero. Just very short to Garlic. And this would be the type of situation where the Bulldogs would easily come back and score a goal, having soaked up some pressure. Grant is the target. In front was Brett Voss. Marnie, clever kick, kept it in. McDonald looked around for a smaller player because he didn't want to go for it. Robbins went straight past him. And it is another boundary throw-in.
Strange call. But you want to go for it, the big fella. They're like that, some of them, aren't they? They just don't think their ground balls are theirs, are they?
I just assumed that someone else was going to be there to do it.
Eagleton receives some attention, and we've got the throw-in. Darcy trying to flick it over the back. Marnie tries to belt it clear. Taken by Ackermanis, who caught one in the back, and he's going to get the free kick. Josh Marnie a little too aggressive. Ackermanis looks towards Lawrence. And then he dashes into halfback. This is fraught with danger. 1, 2, 3, you're gone. Marnie might make him pay to Grant. Grant eludes one, goes to ground. Has to get the hand pass back again. They're not out of trouble yet. The Lawrence tackle is a beauty on Matthew Robbins. He loses the footy. Eventually it's Garlic who picks it up, pumps it high to half forward and chopped off by Levitt. No one able to break clear. Hart has it on the outer side. Robbins gives chase, but Hart's away. Up towards the left half forward. Fine mark in front of the eyes by Lynch. Still a long way out. Voss, as we've said, came off the bench.
Plenty of space on the fat side, and that's where Bradshaw's led.
Good lead. Can't take it. Lappin now at the back. Will need support.
Jesus, thanks, Greg.
Could have been held. In fact, he was. But the umpire has picked it up. Umpire Brett Allen giving him the benefit of the doubt and the ball. So Lappin will kick inside 50. The lead is on from Power. He comes charging at it, and he's got it in the pocket. 6'9", plays 5'6".
Michael Voss just waiting to come back on, and we'll be on in about 2 seconds.
Good news for the Lions because he's been wonderful. Power for goal, and he's tucked that away to the right too. They're kicking themselves at the moment. They are kicking themselves, and they could be kicking themselves out of it.
He's been in his face all night, this lad. Contessa. Interesting duel.
1-2 to Luke Power.
I personally think it's a waste of breath.
10 points.
Sort of mouthing off at your opponent.
There is the co-captain of the Lions. That kick is very well weighted to Cox. Here's a running player. Well, he's got a couple to choose from. It ends up with Smith. He was the one there in the first place. Goes very direct. Leppich in the best seat. Well, Brett Voss got back into him, and then he dives on it. He's caught. Ball underneath him. Ball up just outside the Bulldogs 50.
And the Brisbane Lions would be thanking Justin Leppich for maintaining their lead, because he has had an outstanding second quarter. Simply outstanding. 2.5
minutes remaining in the first half. Darcy did well. Liberatore caught and held to him.
So just watching Black and Libber, I wonder, Black still wants to get the footy. You know, you can actually mentally reverse the role and say, I am going to play on Libber, and just see what happens from there, rather than do it the way he's doing it now.
10 possessions for Black, 13 for Liberatore. Replay. This time the big punch from McDonald. Scott West was at the back, clever through traffic, setting something up. Here's a chance for Garlick from 48 metres. He unloads with a kick, but he's dragged it left. So at both ends of the ground, we're seeing opportunities missed, and the margin back to single figures to 9 points.
Stilling with Scott West having now amassed 19 possessions. You could do the same thing, Malcolm, with Black, but stick him on West. And then at worst case scenario, you got a 2-on-1.
Yeah, sure, they're both going for the ball. Or that's exactly right. You might free someone up.
Johnson chips to Lawrence. He looks towards half-back. White was there, but he leaves it for his big ruckman, who immediately gives it to Brett Voss, who finds Alistair Link.
We've got 2 spares down here. The Dogs.
Here's White pulling that ball to the left and doing it beautifully as only White can. Bradshaw a fraction too far underneath the ball. Couldn't take the mark, and Lappin will see it to the line. Great vision by Darryl White.
Oh, and great execution. It was perfectly weighted for Daniel Bradshaw. He just wasn't quite good enough to drag it down. And then, sadly enough for Lions supporters, there was no ground support.
Johnson obviously still not right after that knock earlier on in the match. He's been on and off the ground a couple of times. Darcy beaten for it by Big Bo. Black could have been taken high. West tried to throw it out. Tackle on Croft by Voss is very, very good. And John Harvey will come in and have a bounce.
Malcolm, I've been impressed with the ruck work of Bo McDonald. He really has come on over the last 2 months.
Yeah, he's jumping high. I just watched him before. He's gasping for air. You can see he's really driven himself hard.
He smashes it to Lappin. Can he get clear? Gives it back again. It's a high ball going in towards full forward. Power's taking a mark. They got the goal. He's sensational. Luke Power gets his second goal. There's no disputing that one. And what a time to do it with just 37 seconds remaining on the clock for the half.
Lappin was good then, just gave it back, and Luke Power just had half a push, and gee whiz, all that talking that Contessa did before comes to no worth at all.
Now Luke Power now just 1 short of his 50, and that would be the first time since 1994 that 3 players in a team have kicked 50 goals, and it's only happened, I think, 9 times in history. And he'll be very happy with his return. We're inside the last minute as they get it forward. Bolton, here's Power, but this time Contessa in front of him, soccering towards the line, coming to meet at Robbins. Got some pace, Robbins, and it'll be another boundary throw in.
And I thought it was very generous of the local crowd to give the goal umpire just that extra special applause for making that decision all by himself.
Yeah, he did well.
Well, there's been a couple of contentious ones. Plenty to talk about, but it's 15 points the margin. And Steve Collingwood on the ground just before half-time, trying to spark something for the Dogs as Black pushes it forward towards Voss. Just kicks it around the corner. Contessa in front once again. Keeps it in. and then just slaps it forward. Good handball to Garlick. He found him out of nowhere. Some time, but I think the clock's going to beat Bartlett. It's a great mark. If he's Jeff Ferring, he'd go back and kick it. He's not even going to attempt it. So a good, entertaining first half with the Lions 7-10-52, the Bulldogs 5-7-37. Both teams have had some opportunities in front of goal that they haven't made the most of. But it's the Lions by 15 points